Today is 18 February 2026. I am in the Staten Island Mall after having a cardiology appointment with a cardiologist out of Mount Sinai operation, and it was a fantastic appointment because I spoke openly, honestly, authentically to that cardiologist who knows now that I had a traumatic brain injury and I was on a ventilator, and he showed me how to update Epic so I do not have to go through what I went through a bunch of times before, where providers couldn't see anything in the computer about me, having been on a ventilator in a medically induced coma 14 days. But he showed me how to update the app, and we spoke openly and honestly about the problems being a provider in the insurance economy and all the nonsense these days. But I appreciate it, and I have tremendous gratitude for being here, being alive, being awake, alert, and learning. And I learn, I teach. It's the way it works for me. I taught the cardiologist and his assistant about the benefits, therapeutic benefits of medical marijuana, full spectrum Rick Simpson oil extract, and how it's keeping me from dying for months. And I did some right in the cardiology office to explain that's how I don't throw up all over you, because I've been vomiting for months. The few medications I took, I couldn't take. I'm working at it, and I will see a speech pathologist next week. She was busy, so I changed my appointment. But my weight is 143, so there is something left of me. So even though I'm living on Ensure, and it's hard just swallowing that because my esophagus doesn't seem to work, but I know about dysautonomia and myelopathy, and for the myelopathy, one of the ways to address it was an ACD fusion surgery at Lenox a little over 2 weeks ago. You may say, what's a person who just had major spinal surgery pacing around the mall for 2 weeks later? Using things I learned in the past, such as motion is medicine. So I walk through the mall very rigidly, moving my legs, keeping my torso and head stable, as my facet disorder and the double fusion sets and needs time and needs a couple of months to refuse. I know that. So here I am walking, moving my legs, not moving my neck. I know motion is medicine. I knew that from 2019 when I became a hardcore walker. But what I didn't know then, or wasn't really aware of then, was what I was actually doing in 2019, 20, and until I couldn't even do that for my medical issues. But what I was doing was walking meditation. And it helps, it works. However long I can walk, I do it now. Because motion is medication for me. Aside from standing stiff like a mannequin, rigid, which I've done for months, I know how to do that. I have learned to tolerate what is absolutely intolerable. Because I had to. Not because I wanted to. But in doing that, being always weirdly internally obsessive, that's my neurodivergence, ADD, ADHD, and attentive type. And thank you, Vernon, for explaining that. I don't have the words to explain it, but I focus on everything, but I try to focus with ultra mega ADD now from my brain injury and limbic destruction. I try to focus on things that could possibly help me find my way forward. And it's okay if it's outside of the medical industry, which is built purely on a business model where insurance companies are the heads of my treatment team and decide what I can have when. But outside of that business model, fellow providers, clinicians, don't really know anything, nor should they. It's outside of what they make their living doing. So I have begun teaching in my travels other clinicians about the benefits of medical marijuana and why I have been using it for 6 months, never to get high, because unfortunately, because of my brain injury, I don't get high. So for that I say boo. But I am doing $200 a week with a military heroes discount to not vomit myself to death, because I threw up for months. Couldn't even take the antidepressant and the kidney stone pills I've been on for a long time. So I struggled to even swallow water or drink Ensure or take an antidepressant, but I do it because I must. And I will go for an esophagram or any medical things that are indicated that I should have had over a year ago, but the past is the past, and here I am now. And as weirdly unexpected it is for me to walk around, to move my legs, I do other weirdly unexpected things where I pop in on multiple TBI subreddits and share for nursing and psych nursing. Don't give up your career, but be safe, because administrators need to understand the effects of certain restrictions and cuts, even if it doesn't affect them or their job. I take anything that endangers the safety of anyone working in public health care, I take that very personally. Having been the worst injured on-the-job RN in New York State OMH history as I know, and having been miraculously awakened after being extubated, the restrictions I have faced, some were for me because I had my voice, but I would not let myself use it because of false ideas raging through my head. And those ideas were put there by others who I believe had assumptions about me and didn't know who I am or what I stand for, so they assumed. But I'm not going to be threatening or talk about HIPAA violations done to me or those things. I'm going to just focus on what I can do to find my way forward. And part of that is movement and to be who I am and to not hide from anyone. I have been embarrassed that I was a lifelong advocate and empath and I would help others in any way possible. But I can't do that for myself. I cannot be my own crisis counselor, and I've tried countless times. Lessons learned: no one knows what they don't know if you never tell them. And for me, the way things work, for me to advocate for myself and have self-compassion, I need to do what I've always done, which is to advocate for others. And now, I know some people see me for who I am, and by that I mean as a man who has experienced a near-death experience. I see it in some others too. When your entire perspective on life completely changes due to some traumatic situation with massive amounts of loss and pain. When materialism and old issues and old obsessions and old worries are suddenly wiped away and cleaned right off the board. When fears from a past version of me, unresolved issues that I carried forever, they were also cleaned that same day. The day my ego died, my career ended, my past, future, all of that was immediately cleared, erased. So without any functioning short-term or long-term memory, and with a word that I struggle to remember, I chuckled because it's better to laugh than to cry, and I've done too much crying over the last year and change. And I know the therapeutic benefits of humor, music, spoken word, creativity is cathartic and valuable in a therapeutic way. But let me not fall into the psychobabblish routine of explaining. Clinicians may very well know what I'm talking about, but for somebody who has had a traumatic brain injury, who's struggling, if anyone is living with an invisible injury where they know what they're dealing with, but the rest of the world has no clue, suffering and silence is something I should have a PhD doing. But we're not here to talk about my terminal degree and acute experience. Anyone who is suffering in silence, worried about what might happen or what they've lost or even who they are, if I see anyone and I see that fear in their eyes, because I've been there, because it's personal to me, and because I was an acute people observer, where I was more a behavior observer, and my behavioral analysis of others now has changed drastically. So if I see anyone who is suffering and I see that fear and terror in their eyes, you better believe I'm gonna do the same thing, and I am consistent as hell. What I'm gonna do is walk over to them and say hello. I will open the door for honest, unbiased, non-judgmental communication. If someone chooses to walk through another door and talk to me about anything, okay. If not, I was present and I tried, and I am being 100% real as can be and authentic, and I'm trying not to curse. I am so real and authentic it may be frightening for some that think they knew me before. But really, no one ever knew me. I'm laughing because as a clinician, as a suicide prevention trainer and a mandated reporter in the past, the old me might look at the new me now and think, poor guy, hope he's not going to do something impulsive. I hope this is not his way of saying goodbye. I should contact his family. We better make sure we rescue him. I'm chuckling because I will under no circumstances complete suicide, not in any way. I remain a mandated reporter and suicide prevention and harm reductionist. I believe in that. It's not just that it keeps me going. I want to be there to help others find a way to keep going and not die. I am working to share something so important to me.